Gonna make the profiles boom, 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 boom. What they is, I'm gonna tell you exactly what it is today on Gunner's Profiles. What it is a response to my boy Biggie from the Working Ex-Con. Definitely gonna get it in, man. Definitely need to respond, and the message was heard and felt, my brother, right? And we're gonna get right into it. You know, definitely, and Biggie, you know, this ain't no fake shit, no added preservatives. I'm gonna give it real. Now, I did a video yesterday, and if you haven't watched my video, it's on Gunners Collective, referring to the craziest white norteño that I ever ran into and did time with and had a conversation with. And that guy I said was Gary Smith, little man from Turlock. And I'm gonna stand 10 toes with that, because he was the craziest. Meaning he was loco en la cabeza. He wasn't all there. In a menudo style in direct fashion, something made this vato tick violently, viciously, and differently, right? To what degree of differently? The vato was different. Okay, he did some bad shit to a lot of bad people. And he had his own agenda and his own reasonings why. He used the Norte as a shield or a defense mechanism to obtain the things that he needed to do these pegadas and to handle his business. And he did them on behalf of what he believed in. Now, Biggie brought up a good point. Case in point, we're dropping this video right here. We're going to profile one of the most downest, not craziest, but downest and righteous homeboys that was of white descent that I ever met in the California Youth Authority or period. And that was Shadow from RVL's Richmond Barrio Locos. Yes, absolutely, Biggie, you were right. Your message was heard and felt, like I said, and grasped. And you're right. I do know both of these individuals, Gary Smith, little man, and Shadow from Richmond. And there's no comparison between these two guys other than the color of their skin. But the way their heart worked was totally different. Okay? Now, when you think little man, or I think little man, absolutely, those words that Biggie said crashed on me, I absolutely have to agree. He was one of those individuals, from what I heard, after just my little conversation with him and the interaction of what almost went down right there on Taft in Nellis, I could tell you that he was pretty much down to do whatever at any point in time. It was like he was eager to use the meat cleaver, right? He was eager to handle his business. So I got this. I got to handle it. That me my orange, right? He was down. But for the whole different reasoning than Shadow from Richmond was down. And I did time with Shadow from Richmond and Nellis, and I'm going to give you the rundown. A bus pulls up with some righteous homeboys. And we had been taking L's, man, meaning that every time a bus would pull up with norteños to Nellis, a lot of them were under the assumption that it was all bad. It was going to be horrible for them. And so a lot of people would tap out. Man, I'm not here to sugarcoat and fucking add preservatives to nothing. I'm keeping it real. A lot of people would tap out. Nah, they didn't want that smoke. Nope. No can do. No can do ski. Guard! We don't want that. We don't want that tension. We don't want that attention. So a lot of guys would definitely fall off the face of the earth, fall off the map, and just stop banging. You know, cowards as they were definitely smacked on by anyone who could get their hands on them. But for the most part, they'd fall off. They'd go to certain fucking compas. We'd never hear about them, never see them. And then they'd get moved on if we did see them. And then they would get moved right back up north because the Placas already knew, well, these guys ain't going to fucking maintain. They're a waste of our energy and our time. And so they would ship them out. Lucky motherfucker. But at the end of the day, the real righteous ones that stood firm and what we believed in our cause, we were stuck like motherfucking Chuck, right? Phoenix Sun. Now, trip out. A bus did pull up, which contained a whole bunch of good righteous homeboys. Spanky de Gilas, a Soldier Boy de Stockton, you know, Bad Boy de Sacra, Spooky de Salas, you know what I mean? Shadow de Richmond, Boo from Stockton. When these cats pulled up, you know, we were aware that one of the homeboys was a white guy, okay? Didn't mean we thought any different of him, just that he stood out like a sore thumb. He was going to be a target because any of the Southsiders that were looking to fight Northerners or get off on us, which there was a lot that were pushing that agenda and pushing that movement, there would be a prime target for them. Watch out, he's the one with all the Mexicans. He's the white guy with the blue eyes, the blondish hair, okay? But Shadow was different. See, he hit the long way, Humps. He hit differently. One thing I could say about him, besides that he told the best stories I ever heard in my life, this vato should have been Sidney Sheldon. He was a storyteller, and they were all facts. They were all true stories, just the way he told them. Hey, the vato was getting drugged through he was the best, right? He had the heart of a lion. You know, he was so down and so with the business, he never got questioned because of the color of his skin. You never questioned him would he jump or would he fucking defend the casa. You never questioned him on was he a righteous homeboy or what he defended. You know, he had it blasted all over him. He made sure that he put Norte and RVL's Richmond Barrio Locals across his chest and let everybody know not only was he representing the Bay Area, but he was definitely representing that northern cause. Period. Plain and simple. We never, and me and him were on the same compas. We never had a conversation on, hey bro, how'd you get into it being a white guy? It never went that route. I didn't even look at him that way. He was just a homeboy. The fucking homeboy that could tell a story, like I said. And pobrecito Shadow, man, some of the things that he had to go through, none of us had to go through. Let me explain something to you. They used to have a school area. Everybody, and I mean everybody, dreaded hitting that school area, especially us, because this is where it was target practice. This is where Vatos knew they can get to us from other compas that not necessarily we had programmed with or did time with. And so they had all-point bulletins that antennas were wiggling and waggling, right? Motherfuckers in the Menudo Star were trying to get at us. They were trying to knock us about our motherfucking straight shoes, right? We weren't going to let that happen. So there was always trouble, always problems, always something went down in the school area. So it was like, damn, bro, I got to go back and get off again. Damn. And it was an everyday thing. See, you wake your kids up in the morning to go to school every day. Well, guess what? We went to school every day too. Only every day they go to school, the worst part of the day is the teacher says, nope, give me that gum, right? For us, the teacher was like, give us that pedazo, right? They already knew what time it was. It would go down. This was gladiator school in a real way. And for us, all eyes were on us. We'd walk through these metal detectors, man, with whatever plastic we had in our ass and get to fucking our building, get to our classroom, and everybody would be quiet and looking at us. You know what I mean? Like a whole bunch of big bad wolves. You know, Mary had a little lamb. Sasuke, nah, fuck that. I'm a ram, homie. You know what I mean? I'm about to fucking headbutt you. I ain't playing. Now, Shadow was the only Norteño that I know of that had afternoon school. For one reason or another, some paperwork got mixed up or the Placas just didn't care. But he got sent to afternoon school. We all had the morning school. So at least there was plenty of us together and people would take second thoughts about, you know, pulling up and running up on us if we were walking in groups of 2s or 3s because Sasuke, we would defend ourselves to the fullest. Best believe that, right? But Shadow had to go every day to afternoon school, to which everybody knew he was the only Norteño doing that. And let me tell you, this guy fought every fucking day, back to back, black guys, busted lips. Now, I mean, one thing about Shadow and anyone who's ever did time with him that knows, and I'm sure Biggie, the working ex-con, knows, this guy had major hands. Didn't look like it, wouldn't have thunk it, would have never thought it, but he had them type of hands, man, that you just didn't want to see. You know what I mean? He was on his Ryan Garcia hype with that Tank Davis power. It was that type of situation. So every day he would go, not only was he taking the L because he was getting jumped on, but he was giving a lot of L's out too. So people hated him. So every day he went, it would get worse and worse and worse to finally, you know, a few of us were able, me, Spooky, and a couple others were able to escape and wiggle out the door to afternoon yard so we can kick it off and help the homeboy. After that, it was so violent, such a vicious fucking thing that happened. The Blackers were like, guards, you fucked up. You don't let these fucking Northerners wiggle up out the compa and get all the way to the class area and kick it off. And that was that. He ended up not having to go, but he did that for a solid year straight. Now, Shadow was one of those type of individuals coming out of Richmond, California. You know, he didn't have that bass swag that you would think. He wasn't like a homeboy from Oakland or Frisco where you meet him, they're like, what's up, cuz? Or what's up, blood? Or, man, what's up, folks? What's up, rogue? He didn't have that style. He was an old school homie. He was raised differently. He maintained differently. But one thing I will definitely tell you, everything that he said, every story he told, you knew was truth and facts because he went out there and he backed it up 114%. Look at gangbanging. To the fullest. Okay, his taita at that time I remember was Spanky from Gilas. These two were like peas in a pod. They were always together. And they were like the yin and the yang, where Spanky was a whole serio fucking super Norteño, right? Shadow was the real super Norteño that didn't have to act like that. He just went out there and showed you by hands and by the content of his character. No Kelpie, just because he was white doesn't mean he was anything like you, right? This was a real white guy. Sprinkle him in, Wood, right? Like I said, you know, when I talked about Gary Smith yesterday, little man from Turlock, I gave you guys the gist of what I knew of him, you know, and I heard, you know, along the lines that he did do a lot of vicious pegadas, you know, like Biggie said, sticking people in the head, pinning them to the bed, There was a lot of different things that this guy done that would make the average man cringe and make the average man say, whoa, shit, that's crazy shit. But at the end of the day, it's not the move. It's not the movida, right? It's the reasoning behind why you're doing it. You know, you got to think. A real gangster, someone that's really in that life thinks before they pull a move, homes. If it just happens and shit goes down, homes, hey, get off where you're mad at. That's quite understandable. You have to handle that business. But for the most part, man, you move smooth with a purpose, right? You always know why you're doing what you're doing. You know, ask no questions, I tell no lies. But at the same time, Sasuke, I need to know if I can wiggle on this one. How much wiggle room I got, eh? Right? And that's how you handle your business. Now, when it comes to Shadow from Richmond, he was one of those homeboys, always in that inner circle, always in the know. He was the homeboy, right? And you're right, Biggie, you're absolutely right, man. That's why I'm going to distinctively say, and I'm going to put a distinction on it. Craziest white guy I ever met, to just fucking loco in the head, was Little Man from Turlock. Downest homeboy I ever met. No questions asked, was Shadow from Richmond. And I'm glad you brought his name up. And, you know, I've been wanting to talk about Shadow from Richmond for a long time. And I've mentioned him in a lot of my spills back in YA. Because people like that, you just don't forget. You know, people that you've done an extensive amount of time, and he's had my back and I've had his back. And I already knew it wasn't even necessary to let him know, hey, I'm going to get off right now. He already knew what time it was. He was always there. You know, he was always first and foremost. He was always on frontline status with me. We definitely handled our business. And someone like that, I know my life at certain points, I'm only here because of moves he made. And likewise, vice versa, you know. We definitely had each other's back. He's a real one. Now, like I said, him and Spanky from Gilas, they were taitas. And it was crazy because they were totally opposites, but opposites attract them. So they were always fucking rolling together, rocking together. If one was there, the other was there. We functioned on the same compa, which was Madison. And I remember first meeting Shadow, I had only heard about him. And I ran into him a couple times in the square. We got off. Like I said, he would go to afternoon school, not morning school. They did have him in morning school in the very beginning. Then they transferred him to afternoon school. So we stopped seeing him. Anyways, when they transferred me from Kennedy Compa to Madison, which was right across the street, and they transferred him, Bad Boy Spanky, it was Bad Boy Spanky, Soldier Boy from Stockton 6th Street. They transferred with us, and me, Cuate from Poros, and a couple other homeboys from, I think it was Batman from Baisa, I'm not sure. But they transferred us to Madison. It was Joker with the shoes. He wasn't allowed to come. We'd beat his ass. But we all transferred across the street over there to Madison, and we broke that compa in. Shadow was right there in the mix. Like I said, I've never heard nothing despicable or terrible on his name. He was always down for the cause, always down for whatever. And yes, he was one of the downest, if not the downest, white Norteño I ever met. Now, why do I say white Norteños? Like black Norteños. And I hate to put a color on it. Because once you become, you know, a Norteño, you're just a Norteño, period. You're not a white Norteño or a black Norteño. This is just to let the people in the YouTube world know that there was a difference in the pigmentation of skin, but there wasn't a difference in the pigmentation of the sangre flowing through their corazon, right? Their hearts were what they were. Now, maybe the fucking, the meanings behind what they did, behind their mentality and their mind state was a little different concerning Little Man and Shadow. Like I said, Little Man, I think he did it for the attention, and he did it because he was on a mission to prove himself and be that crash dummy, like Biggie said, and get to the pinta, like he told me, man. He was trying to get there. And that's just what that was. Shadow was trying to get out. Navato was like, I'm trying to get out of prison. I'm trying to get out of YA, whatever the case may be. Now, I'm sure, and I've heard in his life through the years, man, that he did make his rounds in prison. He did do what he does, and that's just what we all did. You know, it was like, it's a stepping stone. YA is a stepping stone to prison. It's either a stepping stone to death or prison, because that's what happened to almost everybody. If you were able to survive it and just be a productive member of society and go out there and get a good jale, sabes que ahora, get your truck drive on, because that's what most became. Here's your options. You're going to be a truck driver. You're going to work at Weeder Schnitzel. You might be a door greeter at Walgreens or Costco, or your ass is going to the Pinta or to the grave. Orale. Right there next to Nipsey Hussle. Orale. Rest in peace. That's just how it was. But shout out from Richmond, my utmost love and respect wherever that man is in life right now. He was the downest white boy I did ever time with as far as the northern affiliation. And that's just what it is. Like I said, we didn't even look at him. See, whereas Little Man, I seen him, I was like, who's this white guy? When I seen Shadow for the first time, I didn't say, who is this white guy? I already automatically knew what time it was. And look, that's a homeboy. The way he carried himself, he presented himself, the way he was about his vaudeville. But one thing I will tell you, it makes me laugh just thinking about it. I'm sure Biggie will agree. That vato could tell a war story like no. If he was a YouTuber, Sasuke, he'd already have 1 million subscribers. This vato's stories were so outlandish. Hell nah. And then the alien did what, eh? Fuck no, eh? Hey, how much did she weigh? 650? You know what I mean? His shit was a little different, but at the end of the day, it was all facts, man. That I can guarantee, because the guy, he told a story, but then you see him back it up with actions. And that's the measure of a real one, you know? Not someone who just talks and fabricates and bullshits, but someone who actually presents himself with the characteristics to handle his business. I knew that what he spoke on was really truth. I've met people, his primos, people in fact that know him, that said, yeah, oh yeah, shit, that was real what he said. I was like, nah, hell no. And so he took the shotgun and he stuck it up her ass. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's what, and then it blew back. Yeah, okay. It was just facts. Anyways, with that being said, man, I hope that addressed what the homeboy Biggie threw out there. I know he was just trying to plant a seed and put a message out to me, and I feel your aura, my brother. I feel you, right? And definitely, that's what it is, man. Shadow from Richmond, man, the downest fucking norteño, white norteño I ever met. And of course, Little Man, the craziest, babosos one I ever met, right? But at the end of the day, they were both righteous in what they believed. They both had their own agenda, and they both shall live on forever, man. You know, rest in peace to Little Man, and Shadow wherever you're at, whatever the case may be. If you see this, it's skins, man. You know what it is. With that being said, I hope that you move smooth with a purpose. I hope that you get everything that you want coming to you. Remember, at the end of the day, it's all about struggling and striving for your familia, for about the real ones, and for about the ones that care about you. Think about them, you know. If you like this, hit that like and subscribe one time for your mind with the thumbs up. If not, thumbs down. Heavy's going to be the head that wears this crown. I'm going to continue to struggle and strive for what I truly and honestly believe in, and that's the coming together of all people, and also putting some of the best content I can possibly put on YouTube, so that way you guys know a little bit about my historia, my history, what I've been through, what I've done actually, the type of characters and individuals I personally, no, not secondhand, third hand, personally did time with, real ones, you know. This is facts. These are facts. You know what I mean? Ask Biggie. He'll tell you Shadow was a real one. Garrett Smith, he really did crazy shit. Bang, bang. This is the gun.